what's up? We are the Magic Minds, and this is our first ever podcast. I'm co-host Caleb, along with co-hosts Evan, Jack, and Finn.
Hey, I'm Evan.
What's up, guys? I'm Jack.
How you doing? I'm Finn.
Today we're going to be talking about Infect. We each chose an Infect commander to make a deck list with, and we'll each have a short briefing about our decks. The links of our deck list will be in the description. Today we're going to be having 3 different segments: the deck tech segment, the custom card segment, and the pack opening segment.
So to introduce some competition into our podcast, maybe make things a bit more interesting for the listeners, we're gonna have a vote after the deck tech segment. So we're gonna vote for the most powerful deck and the most unique / creative deck, and the winners of those 2 categories will each get 1 point. And so throughout each of our seasons, which are gonna be 6 to 7 episodes, we're gonna tally up the points from the decks, the custom cards, and the packs. So the custom cards, you get 1 point for having the best card. As just like far as like not like the most
Magic.
Yeah, the best for Magic.
Yeah,
not
like
the
best
most
for
like
Magic.
overpowered. Yeah, and
Because
the packs, we each chose a set. I chose War of the Spark, Jack chose Guilds of Ravnica, Caleb chose Ravnica Allegiance, and Evan chose Throne of Eldraine. So we each chose the set we thought we'd get the most expensive cards out of. And so each player, the player with the highest valued card after the pack opening gets a point for that episode. So 2 points possible for the decks, 1 point for the cards, and 1 point for the packs. So, without further ado, let's get into our decks. So yeah, like Caleb said, today we're doing Infect themed decks because that'd be kind of fitting with the pandemic going around.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go first. My commander I decided to build was a pretty cool one that I kind of wanted to build for a while. It's Volrath the Shapestealer. So Volrath the Shapestealer is 2 black, green, blue, so Sultai, for a 7/5 legendary creature shapeshifter. This is from the latest commander set. And it says, at the beginning of your combat on your turn, put a -1/-1 counter on up to 1 target creature. And you can pay 1 mana, and until your next turn, Volrath the Shapestealer becomes a copy of target creature with a counter on it, except it's a 7/5 and it has this ability. So what I wanted to do with this one is, Volrath is great because, first of all, it's versatile. You can make copies of like any creatures.
Copy of opponent's creature, right?
Yeah. You can put the counter on any creature. And what's great is his power and toughness doesn't change when he copies a creature. So what I notice is a lot of the Infect creatures are really small.
Like 1/1s.
So yeah, like for example, you got Blighted Agent, which is 1 in the blue, for a 1/1 that's unblockable and it has Infect. Like obviously like not too dangerous when you first play it out, but with Volrath, it's a 7/5 all of a sudden, and possibly bigger. So you can make them copies and kind of get past the fact that a lot of the Infect creatures are small. And so yeah, I included some like +1 counter and -1 counter synergies, which also went along pretty well with Proliferate. So I got some Proliferate cards in there, and because you can also Proliferate Infect counters. So I'm just gonna read off. We each are gonna read off our top, like I don't know, like 7 to 10 cards.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna go ahead in that. So my first spotlight card, or one of the best cards in the deck, is Sword of Truth and Justice. It's an artifact equipment for 3 mana. Its equip cost is 2. It's a sword, so equipped creature gets +2/+2 and has protection from white and blue, which are pretty at least white is a good removal color. So I'm glad that I can give my attacking creature, most likely Volrath, protection from that color. And also it says, whenever the equipped creature deals common damage to a player, put a +1 counter on a creature you control, then proliferate. So that's great. I mean, it's going to give him, if he's got Infect, it's going to make him deal 1 more
Yeah.
Infect damage because he's going to be proliferating. And also, you can put some counters on your creatures and make them bigger, and also allow Volrath to copy them. So that's just a great, it protects, it provides counters, and it helps get the Infect counter. So that's a great all-around card.
Yeah, that card's kind of perfect for that deck.
Yeah.
I mean,
And then
like it was made for it.
we also got a Viridian Corruptor. So this is an interesting one. It's 1 green for a 2/2 with Infect, and when it enters the battlefield, you can destroy target artifact. So this card kind of reminds me of another card, Reclamation Sage. So I was kind of interested because they do the similar things. Reclamation Sage doesn't have Infect, but when it enters the battlefield, it can destroy an enchantment or an artifact, which makes it definitely probably better for most decks. But I'd say Viridian Corruptor is, I mean, it's a good, like, out of nowhere, like you're playing maybe a deck with some counter, maybe an Atraxa deck, like that's not focused on Infect, but Atraxa just like usually proliferates, and there's many different Atraxa decks out there. So you got a non-Infect Atraxa deck, and people don't expect you to play Infect if it's like a, I don't know, Super Friends deck or something. And you can just drop Viridian Corruptor to kind of fill in the role as Reclamation Sage, but also have that extra ability to come out of nowhere and give some Infect, and then all of a sudden people are like, oh no, like every turn I'm going to get a poison counter. So it's going to be, that's definitely kind of dangerous and a little bit sneaky. And so I was like curious, so I checked EDH Rec, and it turns out Viridian Corruptor is only in 2014 decks, and Reclamation Sage is in 36,191 decks, which is expected that it would have more, but I was surprised it had that many more. And then another one is a great card. It's Inexorable Tide. It's pretty simple, 3 blue for an enchantment. Whenever you cast a spell, proliferate. So that's great. I mean, obviously, you get that out, your engine just won't stop. That's just gonna, like, I mean, a lot of the Infect creatures have low converted mana cost, so we can just like play a bunch of them and just totally just proliferate the -1/-1 counters we're placing on our opponent's creatures, proliferate the poison counters, and that just ends games quickly. So that is a really powerful enchantment. So the next one I have is Contagion Engine. So this is a pretty great one too. It's 6 mana artifact. When it enters the battlefield, put a -1/-1 counter on each creature target player controls. So that's already good. That just gives us access to all creatures opponent of our choice has, because they all have counters, so we can copy them with Volrath. And then you can pay 4 and tap it to proliferate, and then proliferate again. So, I mean, already you got an opponent with a pretty big board, maybe he's going wide of tokens. You give him a bunch of -1 counters, and you just pay 4 mana and proliferate twice. I mean, that's -3/-3 to all his creatures. That's already great. And if not, we can just leave him there and copy him, and then proliferate the poison counters or our own +1 counters. So proliferating, very versatile. That one is just a great card in the deck.
Yeah.
Another cool one that can accrue us some value over the game is Generous Patron. So it's 2 and a green for a creature Elf Advisor. It's from Battle Bond. It's a 1/4, enters the battlefield, support 2, which means you put a +1 counter on each of up to 2 other target creatures. And whenever you put 1 or more counters on a creature you don't control, draw a card. So obviously with Volrath, we want to be putting counters on our opponent's creatures, and so that's like already Volrath's going to be putting his he's already got 1 trigger that he gets a -1/-1 counter on any creature every turn. So that's already going to draw us some cards with that. And we got a lot of other spells in the deck that just put a bunch of counters. We got Black Sun Zenith in there and stuff like that. So we're going to be drawing a bunch of cards with Generous Patron. So that's a great one. Additionally,
Yeah, it's a really good card drawing.
yeah, it's a great engine. Additionally, Plaxcaster Frogling. is 1 green and a blue for a creature frog mutant. It's got graft 3. So it's a 0/0, but it ends the battlefield with 3+1 counters. And whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, you may move a +1 counter from this creature onto it. And I'd like to mention that graft doesn't have to be for your creature. It can also be for your opponent's creatures entering the battlefield. So you can have them get counters. You can it. I believe. Yeah. It moves the counters from. Yeah. So you can put the counters on your opponent's creatures pretty easily with this one, and
Nice.
you can pay 2 colorless mana and target creature with a +1 counter on it gain Shroud until the end of turn, which is, if you don't know what Shroud is, it just can't be the target of spells or abilities. So that's great. It can protect your stuff that you want to, like, because I'm sure making a big flying or evasive infector that's a 7/5 with your commander, that's going to be a big target, so you want to protect it too. So Blackcaster Frogling is just a great way to protect and place counters on them. The next card is kind of it's not a super popular card, I wouldn't say, even in Infect decks. It's Whispering Spectre. 1 black for a creature specter. It's a 1/1 flying and Infect. So already pretty good because it's got the versatility, or not versatility, the evasion.
Yeah.
So yeah, anyway, we can get in with Volrath without him being blocked is just great. So flying's good. And then obviously Infect. And then whenever Whispering Spectre deals combat damage to a player, you may sacrifice it. If you do, that player discards a card for each poison counter he has. So say we play Volrath, we get a counter on this guy, and then we hit with him because he's got flying, hit him for 7, and then we could just right away just sacrifice Volrath and they discard their hand. Well, that just seems great. Or you can also just hit him with the original copy of Whispering Spectre, and even if they already have some like extra stuff, you kind of just like finish them off.
Mhm.
And so that one's pretty good surprise card. Not many people see it coming. And then the final card I have is Blighted Agent. I already read it out. That's just one of the best cards. Just unblockable Infect, simple, easy, pretty cool. So that's my deck.
Unblockable
I like it a lot.
important.
Yeah, I like it a lot. I think it's cool. I like the versatility. I just like the synergies with proliferating. You get like 3 different types of counters, so was really like popped out in me as like a cool, interesting deck. So I like that, and it just synergizes so well. Like, I mean, Infect creatures also deal damage to creatures in the form of -1/-1 counters. So that's already like just helping the strategy. So there's so many little things that help the strategy and help like make like such good synergies with the
That's
stuff.
good.
Yeah. So yeah, there's a lot of like hidden little like value or pieces of value or synergies that just like make the deck really cool and interesting. So yeah, that's my deck. On to Evan's deck.
Yeah. Okay. So, following that up, I made my Infect deck around Saskia the Unyielding, which is a legendary creature human soldier for 4 mana, 1 black, 1 red, 1 green, and 1 white, so everything but blue. And it's a 3/4 with vigilance and haste. And as Saskia enters the battlefield, you choose a player, and whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, it deals that much damage to the chosen player. So you point it at someone, whenever it deals damage to anyone else, it also deals damage to that person. So I immediately, with that, thought Infect, because, like, it just seemed so good to be able to, like, do Infect doubly. Like, you won't have to get people 40, you'll just have to get them 10, which seemed really good.
Yeah, and you can get 2 people with it, too.
Yeah. And so this deck is very much creature-centric with some pump spells. So it has lots of little creatures like Glistener Elf, which is a 1/1 green creature. It's an elf warrior for 1 mana, and it has Infect. So just like your standard little Infect guy. But, like, it's so good because if you pump it up with a card like Colossal Might, which is 1 red and 1 green for an instant, target creature gets +4/+2 and gains trample until end of turn. Then you have like a 5/3 trampling Infect, and if you have Saskia out, it smashes 2 people at once, which is just great.
Yeah,
Because
that seems like a lot of value.
yeah, one of the problems with Infect is that you can maybe get 1 or 2 people, but it's hard to get all 3 people like right out of the gates if you just come out swinging. But with Saskia, it allows you to get 2 people pretty quick and then go play a one-on-one game pretty early when you have a good board, and most of your stuff is cheap.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, I'd definitely be way more scared, like seeing 2 people go out pretty fast right next to me, and then, oh no, now I'm one-on-one, which kind of just removes all the disadvantages of like aggro decks and infect decks.
Yeah.
So yeah, that seems good.
So
Also, like, it's really good because if you would, what is it? Like, let's say the person you're playing against in 1v1 has kind of like a slow deck and they haven't really like grown to the game yet, you can easily defeat them with 1 swing because they haven't really gotten to the game if they have like a slow deck or something.
yeah, I mean, like with this, if someone gets mana screwed, you just destroy them, and you can also destroy the person with the best defenses at the same time. So speaking of good defense, you also in this deck are going to need things that give evasion. So there's equipment that do that. For example, Prowler's Helm, which is an equipment for 2 mana that is equips for 2, and equipped creature can't be blocked except by walls. So not a lot of commander players play walls. So that's essentially unblockable, and that's just really good because it's evasion and you don't even have to worry about them being able to do anything about your evasion because they can't. It can't be blocked. So I also have a card called Duelist's Heritage, which is 2 and a white for an enchantment. Whenever 1 or more creatures attack, you may have target attacking creature gain double strike until end of turn. So this is really good because it's like a reusable pump spell, but you don't have to do it to the same creature every time like you would an aura. So double strike is really good because it doubles the attack, which doubles the poison counters, and just everything is, the power level of everything is scaled up so much when you only have to hit someone for 10 damage. And you can redirect this on different turns. So 1 turn you can have it on your Glisten Elf, for example, but then the next turn, your guy that you played that turn doesn't have summoning sickness anymore, and then you can have that one get double strike for even bigger swing. So that's just a really versatile card that helps pump up and get in for the kill faster.
Yeah, and also not to mention, you can also use that thing on your opponent's turn when they're attacking with creatures too. So you can like politic with that.
Yeah, maybe. And then we have some good creatures with Infect, because, in fact, every single creature in this deck has Infect, so, except for my commander. So, it's just lots of Infect. You better watch out. So, 3 of the best ones are Hand of Praetors, which is a 4 mana, 3 and a black creature zombie, 3/2, that has Infect, and other creatures you control with Infect get +1/+1. And whenever you cast a spell with Infect, target player gets a poison counter. So this is like the ultimate Infect legend. I mean, like,
That's
it
so
pumps up
good.
your other little guys and helps you hit people, so it's really good.
That's really, really good.
Yeah, especially if you want to like be like swinging out like a little anthem for, because every single creature has infect. Sorry. So it that's like just an anthem for your deck, and that's just great. Not to mention
Yeah,
like
I
the
mean,
cast trigger too.
mean, at the point that you're up to like 4 mana, you might be able to cast 1-2 infect creatures in a turn, and just casting 2 might, with 2 poison counters out of nowhere, might get you over the hump to get someone out of the game, like a big target. So
Only
my next
problem-
good infect creature is Phyrexian Swarmlord, which is 4 and a green for a creature, Insect Horror. It's a 4/4 with Infect, and at the beginning of your upkeep, put a 1/1 green insect creature token with Infect onto the battlefield for each poison counter your opponents have. So that's all your opponents and each poison counter. So you can start getting a lot of little insects with Infect very, very quickly, because you're doubling your Infect damage by doing it to 2 people, just if you have your commander out, regardless of any pump or anything you give to your creatures. So already that's more than in a normal Infect deck, little 1/1s you're going to get, and it'll multiply fast, and if they don't kill this, you're going to have a swarm of 1/1s that they're going to die to. So, yeah.
Yeah, that seems nasty.
Yeah. And then my
And the
last
1/1s
of
have
the
Infect too.
Yeah, they do. So
Oh, that's crazy.
even more Infect. So my last of the bigger Infect creatures that I'm going to talk about is Spinebiter. It's 4 green for a creature beast, 3/4 with Infect, and you may have Spinebiter assign combat damage as though it weren't blocked. So this is not really like the little Infect creature, and for 6 it's only a 3/4, but like the fact that you can have it assign combat damage as though it weren't blocked is really good, because just like a little bit of pump on this, and out of nowhere you can just hit someone and they can't really block it or stop it from hitting them. So that one is just a really good finisher in the deck. So now that we're done with the creatures, the next card I have is Helm of the Host. And this is like one that on EDH there weren't a lot of decks that had it, but like it just seems so good to me. So it's 4 mana for legendary artifact equipment. At the beginning of combat on your turn, create a token that's a copy of equipped creature, except the token isn't legendary if equipped creature is legendary. That token gains haste, and its equip cost is 5. So you'd want to equip it to Saskia most of the time, because when you do that, you can have the 2 Saskias point at different people, and then if you attack the one person that you haven't pointed at like most likely the weakest person, then you can hit the other 2 people, and that's just like even more damage that you can do quickly. I mean, it's just really good. And you can always do it on like your Phyrexian Swarmlord if you need to.
Yeah, like that's really good. I don't really know, like I know what the goal of your deck is, but like I don't really know if this would like help anything, but maybe like having something for like an extra combat phase, because then you could swing with Saskia and get all of your opponents in one turn with an extra combat.
Yeah. One good thing about Home of the Host is...
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so with Home of the Host, you don't even need to attack to get the trigger and get a new one. So you don't have to put Saskia into battle. It's just at the beginning of combat, no matter what. So that also makes it a little bit better.
Wait, let me get this straight. So Saskia, when she enters the battlefield, she chooses a player?
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, like I don't know, like you put just an idea. I'm not sure if you included these in your deck, but you could put in some blink spells maybe to like, so the one guy's like, well, I'm sitting here and they just killed those other 2 players, or they just killed 1 player. So you could maybe, and he's like, yes, I'm safe. Like I'm not one of the chosen players. So like at least I can wait till it goes to 1v1 before I die. But then all of a sudden, Saskia's like, oh nope, I'm just gonna blink it. And you can maybe even have instant speed blinks. Like before damage, and then and then they're just like, oh wow, I'm dead now because I'm all of a sudden the player. So
Yeah, that might be
retarded,
good, but I think a lot of Blink is in blue, and Saskia doesn't have blue in it, so
Yeah.
well,
that's
I mean,
a
there's
little
some with
downside.
white. There's like
There's a
ephemeral.
little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, we have the next card is Rhythm of the Wild, which is a red and a green for an enchantment, and it says creatures, spells you control can't be countered, so no one can stop it if you're gonna play your Phyrexian Swarmlord or other good Infect creatures. It also says non-token creatures you control have Riot. So that is, they enter the battlefield with your choice of a +1/+1 counter or haste. So, haste is really good for this because this deck is all about getting people out of nowhere and getting people fast, and haste really helps you do that because you don't have to wait a turn for it to come out, and like if you just need an extra point of damage, you can have it in your hand. People won't expect it. But also, if you don't want to use haste, you can always just buff your creatures, and that's not a bad thing either, at all. Plus, it also comes with the bonus that creatures can't be countered, so it's a really good, versatile enchantment to have in this deck. I'm on to my last two cards, and this one is really good for this deck. It's Chandra's Ignition, which is 3 red for a sorcery. Target creature you control deals damage equal to its power to each other creature and each opponent. So everybody's stuff and creatures except for you. And it's just like...
Oh my god, that's so good.
Yeah, and the creature deals damage to the players in poison counters. So this damage from this is also poison counters. So it's more poison counters to everyone.
And you can also -1/-1 counters from the
yeah,
Infect,
exactly.
right?
So what I was gonna say is that it deals damage to the creatures in -1/-1 counters. So even if like some of your opponents have like these big creatures and you can't quite hit them, and they'll still be smaller, substantially smaller creatures once the ignition is over. So and it can just always make some room for a giant swing at someone. Like, get their board out of the way and you'll still have your board remaining. So it's a good one-sided board wipe. Downside is it's a sorcery, so it's mostly for getting stuff out of the way, not in response to somebody else being powerful, but that's a okay downside for what it brings.
Yeah, that seems great. I mean, like, wait, what is Saskia's power and toughness?
3/4.
Yeah, so that's already gonna do a lot of damage with that. So
Yeah,
that's cool.
But you wouldn't really want to target Saskia because it doesn't have Infect. So Saskia wouldn't do the -1/-1 and poison counters.
Yeah,
okay.
Good point. Yeah.
Anyway, the final card is Inkmoth Nexus, which is a land that you can tap to add 1 mana of any color. No, 1 colorless mana to your mana pool, and then you can pay 1. Inkmoth Nexus becomes a 1/1 Blink Moth artifact creature with flying and infect until end of turn. It is still a land. So this is like really good because it becomes a creature, it can hit, and it already has evasion built into it. But then going into opponents' turns, they can't kill it because it's back to just a land. So it's like a really hard to kill creature. And
yeah, that seems great.
Great versatile land. So yeah, I just really think Saskia is like perfect for Infect because it's really like a blitz deck. You just want to come out swinging hard and fast early. So, yep. I just think it's really fun. Who doesn't like to smash people with Infect creatures over and over?
Opponent.
Yeah.
Being
That's what I was gonna
smashed.
say. I don't.
Yeah. Okay. So next is Jack.
Okay, so my deck my commander that I chose to build around was Corona False God, and just so you know, Corona is spelled with a K, not a C. So yeah. So anyways, it is a 5 mana commander, 1 in all 5 colors, so 6 mana total for a creature legend, and it has haste. At the beginning of each player's upkeep, that player untaps Corona False God and gains control of it. And then it says, whenever Corona attacks, creatures of the type of your choice get +3/+3 until end of turn. This commander I chose because I thought it was like an interesting and unique commander because it's not a lot of, at least I don't think not a lot of decks are like this one, so I just wanted to try it out. And so the key cards in this deck are Grafted Exoskeleton, which is a 4-mana artifact. 4-mana artifact equipment. A quick creature gets +2/+2 and has Infect. And then it says whenever Grafted Exoskeleton becomes unattached from a permanent, sacrifice that permanent. Equip 2. So this card is really good because it gives Corona Infect and +2/+2. So that's a 7/7 Infect. And Corona's ability, so when they attack, you want spells like Assault Suit, which is a card that gives so Assault Suit is 4 mana artifact equipment. Equipped creature gets +2/+2, has haste and can't attack you or planeswalkers you control and can't be sacrificed. At the end of each player's upkeep, you may have that player gain control of equipped creature in return. If you do, untap it, equip 3. So this card is really good for the deck because you equip this to Corona and he gets another +2/+2, and then he can't attack you or planeswalkers you control. So that makes it even better because it doesn't attack you. So it'll be dealing damage to everybody else around the table except for you. And yeah, so that's good. And this also plays good with Grafted Exoskeleton because when Grafted Exoskeleton becomes unattached from a permanent, sacrifice that permanent. And Assault Suit says it can't be sacrificed, and it's text. So that's really good. And then Listening Oil. This card is really good because it gives it's black, so 2 mana enchantment, and enchant creature has Infect. At the beginning of your upkeep, put a -1/-1 counter on enchanted creature. When Listening Oil is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, return Listening Oil to its owner's hand. This is good because it gives Corona Infect, and so that's just a good 2 mana Infect guy.
Yeah, that seems pretty good.
Yeah, and with the effect that when it is put into graveyard from the battlefield, it can return to your hand for another use.
Oh, yeah,
It
that's
can
good.
really die.
That seems fun to play with.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then
Yeah, because I mean, like, you can never get rid of it. It's just like, oh, okay, I kill his creature. Oh no, Glistening Oil's back and he's got Infect again. It's like, oh crap. So yeah.
yeah, and then the next card is Tainted Strike, which is 1 black mana for an instant. Target creature gets +1/+0 and gains Infect until end of turn. And again, it's just it's a good card for 1 mana, and it's an instant, giving Corona. So let's say he doesn't have Infect yet, and they're going to attack. You just play this and give it +1/+0 and Infect until end of turn. So you dealing damage, a ton of damage around the board, not to you.
Yeah.
And then,
Also, with that card, you could like use it if someone had like a Galta or like a 12/12. Then you could do it on that creature as somebody else's creature when they attack, and out of nowhere, like people didn't expect to be taking Infect from the Galta. So you could do that for someone else's creature.
Yeah.
A Galta with Infect would be lethal, probably.
Yeah, I mean, it's got trample.
Yeah, trample 12/12 with Infect.
Yeah, it doesn't
Or-
say creature you control, just any creature. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's good.
That's good.
Yeah.
And then another good one is Triumph of the Hordes. It's 2 green, so 4 mana for a sorcery, and 2 on a turn, creatures you control get +1/+1 and gain trample and infect. That's good because, like, I know, like, you're trying to get other people to attack other people, but sometimes you might want to like attack with some infect guys on your battlefield, and this is good because it gives them infect and trample and +1/+1. So yeah, that's just a good all-around card. And then this is a really good card in the deck because it is a Blackblade Reforged, and this is 2 mana for a legendary artifact. It says equipped creature gets +1/+1 for each land you control, and then equipped legendary creature is 3, and regular equip is 7. And since Corona False God is a legendary creature, you equip it for 3. And since I'm playing it's a 5-color deck, it's going to be generating a ton of lands. And since Corona costs 6, that's already 6 mana. And so that's like 6 plus encounters or more, probably.
Or just +6/+6.
Yeah, +6/+6. And more. So this card's really good because it can really kill someone fast with Infect. And then we have Aqueous Form. This card is really good because it is 1 blue mana for enchantment. Enchanted creature can't be blocked. And that says,
Oh, that's good.
whenever an enchanted creature attacks, scry 1. So this card is really good because you just attack someone and it can't be blocked. So they have no way of not getting attacked.
It's a great card already. It's a really good card already. And then just add that scry 1. It's so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I check the ruling too, because you get the scry, even when you're attacking on your opponent's combats. You, the owner of Corona, still gets the scry. So you get like 4 scries around the table.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's it for my cards. But also, what can be good is I couldn't find a lot of these in the deck list.
On EDH Rec.
On EDH Rec. That's what I was kind of going off of and kind of making the deck around. I couldn't find cards that like makes him attack each combat if able, or at least not a lot of them. So that would be some more cards to find for that. Because if he attacks each combat if able,
Then like your
combat.
opponents have to attack him, right?
Yeah. Your opponents have to attack with him if he attacks each combat if able.
Yeah, there's
so
some cards. So if
attack.
you're looking to build the
And then-
deck your own.
If you equip it with Assault Suit or something like that, they can't attack you. So they have to attack, but not you. So they attack everybody else except for you. So yeah, it's really good.
Yeah, that seems interesting.
Yeah, so that's it for my deck. For the cards.
Wait, say that
Okay,
again?
so
Caleb?
the commander I made today was Rolesk Apex Hybrid. Rolesk is 2 green blue for a legendary creature human mutant for more of the sparks. So Finn might pull one of these. It's a 4/5 with flying and trample. When Rolesk Apex
Oh, man,
Hybrid
that's
enters
good.
the battlefield, put 2 +1/+1 counters on another target creature you control. And then when Rolask dies, proliferate, then proliferate again. So, though the first ability is very powerful, the deck is built around the second ability, being able to proliferate twice, because you can proliferate in poisons counters. I know Finn's deck used this too. It's just a very good ability in Infect decks. So the goal of the deck is to get an early poison counter on your opponent with cards like Glistener Elf. I think Evan had this one. It's 1 green for a 1/1 with Infect.
Yeah, most Infect decks have that.
Yeah. And then proliferate the poison counters as many times as you can with cards like Evolution Sage. Evolution Sage is a super powerful card. It's 2 and a green for a 3/2 Elf Druid. And whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, proliferate. And to be honest, this card is so good. It's arguably better than what Finn. It's kind of like an Explorable Tide, but arguably better because it's cheaper and it's a creature. So like maybe if you need just an extra body to block with, and like I don't know, but
yeah, I don't know which is better because lands you're capped at 1 per turn, but you could also their lands are free to play too, so you're like almost guaranteed to get 1 every turn rather than the Tide. You may not have spells to play, so
yeah, but also you can get more than 1 land per turn if you search up something that lets a land enter the battlefield, or if you use like a Terramorphic Expanse, you could play it and then crack it and then get another land, so that'd be 2 proliferate triggers.
Yeah, a bit of synergy there. Okay.
Yeah.
Wait,
yeah. Caleb, that's really good, Evolution Sage. And also like that's a creature. That's probably one of your best cards in your deck. But one thing about being a creature is like most I don't really know.
Yeah, it's more like vulnerable.
Most like board wipes have
destroy
all creatures rather than destroy all enchantments or
it is more vulnerable to removal than Explorable Tide, but they're both very good cards. So this deck has 2 very powerful cards that are probably like the 2 top dogs of the deck, the best non-commander cards. One of them is Viral Drake. Viral Drake is 3 and a blue for a 1/4 flyer with Infect. And you can pay 3 and a blue to proliferate.
Yeah, it's hard to say.
Yeah. A lot of things in Magic are. So that's just outlining the 2 main points in this deck, proliferating and Infect. And also the fact that you don't have to tap it for the proliferate trigger. Not a trigger, but for the proliferate, not having to tap it. If it's late game, you have like ton of land stocked up. You can just do this maybe 2 or 3 times and get a lot of value out of it.
Yeah, you can just finish people off, I think.
Yeah. The other one is Plegma Beast, which is 3 green for a 4/3. And you can tap it and sacrifice a creature to proliferate, which is super good because I'm running.
If you sack your commander.
Yeah, you're going to be sacking Rolask with it. And when Rolask dies, proliferate, then proliferate again. So you sack Rolask to play Plegma Beast. Yeah, triple proliferation. Yeah. Some of the other best cards in the deck, Thrumming Bird is a very good card. It's 1 in a blue for a 1/1 flyer. Whenever Thrumming Bird deals combat damage to a player, proliferate. So, pretty straightforward. This basically just, it's a flyer. And usually in a commander game, at least one of your opponents isn't going to have a flyer. So you can just attack them and get a proliferate trigger, which is super, it's just a good value card.
Yeah, it's almost like having Infect with Saskia, because you do it to everyone. The
Yeah.
proliferation, if everyone has poison counters already.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You can also, another card is Pollen Blight Druid. It is 1 in a green for a 1/1 creature elf druid. When it enters the battlefield, you can choose one. You can either put a +1/+1 counter on target creature, or you can proliferate. Both abilities are really good. It's a very flexible card in a deck like this, because either you could proliferate and maybe get someone's poison count higher, or you could put a 1/1 counter on target creature. Could put a 1/1 counter on maybe one of your infect creatures to deal one more poison counter, or you can just put a 1/1 counter so that the next time you proliferate with like Evolution Sage, it proliferates those 1/1 counters too. So it's a very flexible card in a deck like this.
Yeah, that seems
And I
cool.
think it's like probably one of the best cards in this deck. One other really good card that I feel like it's amazing in any deck, but especially in Infect, is Bramble Sovereign. I'd never seen this card until like a week ago, where I pulled it, where I got it in a draft.
I think it was longer than that. I think it was like 3 weeks when you did the draft.
Pretty recent though, and
Yeah.
it's
Before
2
the
and a
whole
green or a
virus
4/4 creature dryad. Whenever another non-token creature enters the battlefield, you may pay 1 and a green. If you do, that creature's controller creates a token that's a copy of that creature. And doubling your infectors is so powerful in an infect deck. And this card just has no downside. It's so good.
Caleb.
Yeah?
One synergy with that, Caleb, is if you use it to copy your commander, then your commander comes in, they see each other, and then you can, one of the copies dies, and then you get double proliferation off that.
Yeah.
That
too.
Like,
And
I've noticed on
would you still get the
EDH
ETB trigger there?
Yeah, you would, because the token's coming into play. I've noticed on EDH Rec, like, the common way to build Rolesk, because he has to die to get his, like, proliferate triggers, so you can't put him in the command zone, which is a big downside, but people get around it by doing, like, the token copies. So I'm just wondering, do you have any of those, like, token things in your deck?
Yeah, I do, but the only one I'm mentioning here is Bramble Sovereign.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's, like, a really good one.
Because it's more flexibility. You don't, like, it's not a one-time thing like other things are. And you don't have to do it on your commander, and it's such a cheap cost to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very fun and powerful cards. Yeah. I'm also running a lot of control. I think I'm running Negate, Swan Song, Counterspell, and Arcane Denial. Because this deck, like, really can't go anywhere if you don't get the first poison counter. So, to just keep your infect creatures alive.
One of the card I recommend here, I don't know if you put it in the deck, but Rite of Replication, because it's 2 blue.
Yeah, I believe I
for a
put
sorcery. That. Yeah, you get a token copy, but you can kick it for 5 mana, so it's 9 mana total, I believe, to make 5 token copies of a creature you control. But with Rolesk, I mean, that just wins the game.
Yep.
If they have a poison counter.
If everyone has,
so that's cool. Yeah.
So I think that brings us to the voting.
Yep, and then also, I forgot to mention, after the voting, we also have a little segment called Make or Fake, where we decide if we'd make our deck and if we wouldn't make our deck, if we'd make any of the other decks featured today. So
It's not really
we'll do the
it's a whole
voting.
new
in that.
yeah, it's not really a segment. It's just an add-on to this segment.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
let's get the voting underway.
Okay. So
So power first.
yeah. So we're gonna vote
Sure.
for what we think is the most powerful deck. So, Jack, what do you think? Who do you think has the most powerful deck?
I think Evan has the most powerful deck because just the ability to defeat 2 players at once, on only 1 turn is just really good to me because, like, if you really want to get 1 person out, but it'd be much easier to get 2, you can do that with that deck, like, when in 1 attack, instead of having to wait till the next turn. And I just think that's a really powerful commander and deck that could be easily turned in. Yeah.
For me, it's a very, very close one between Saskia and Volrath. I think Jack's deck is pretty close, but just Corona's mana cost, having to pay 1 white, 1 in Wooburg, that just feels like you might have trouble getting it casting it at the start.
And
Yeah.
it's also gonna be like a target too.
Yeah,
So
for
you
that
killed.
That's
reason,
something
I
I
like
saw
it.
too.
It's
with
just
my
a level down from Evans and Finn's. So, but I gotta go with Volrath because being able to have a 7/5 infect creature is just super powerful, and Volrath's ability seems super strong.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Alright,
Okay.
I'll go next.
Okay. Yeah.
So I gotta go with Rolex, so Caleb's deck, just because, like, I feel like maybe the start, you'd have to construct it so that at the start you could get everyone a poison counter, but, like, I feel like once you got there, you'd just be, like, off and running with the proliferation, and just, like, everyone would get more and more counters each turn, and just doing it to everyone at once just seems super powerful, so you don't have to, like, choose
Yeah.
one person to make the enemy, because everyone is the enemy.
Mhm.
So
Yeah. I know there are cards that do this, but in green-blue, are there any that are just 1 poison counter to each opponent? I'm pretty
I'm
sure
not
there's
sure.
some in other colors.
Yeah, I know Iker Rats. It's 1 in black and it's Battlefield. It's like a rat with infect. Don't quote me on it, but it also
Yeah,
on
I think I have
Battlefield,
that
each
in my
player
deck.
gets a poison counter. So that's
Yeah.
pretty good.
Yeah, I think I have that.
But that's black, obviously. So you want
Okay,
stuff like
so
that in that deck.
Finn, who are you
Anyway.
voting for?
Okay,
Yeah,
so
you're the
I partially agree with Evan talking about Rolesk. I think the proliferate thing is good because, like, there's a lot of creature removal, obviously, in Commander, and having big creatures to, like, remove that are, like, scary, like Infect is going to make you a target and you're going to get removed with, like, board wipes or just removal. But I think the proliferate takes away that advantage. I mean, the proliferate takes away that disadvantage. Sorry, and it kind of like makes it. It's kind of like a value engine that can't really be stopped that easily because you're just getting like repeated value, and even if Rolesk dies, you're proliferating. So it's kind of a great way to accrue some value. With that said, I'm actually gonna vote for Evan here. I was close between Rolesk and what's her name, Saskia, but I think Saskia negates the disadvantage of playing an infect deck just by going out fast, and rather than killing one player and then have the other players like, oh man, you killed him, okay, well, yeah, we're gonna totally just take you out because you're the infect player and you're scary and nobody likes to be killed with infect. Well, all of a sudden you're killing 2 people instead, and then the last player is all of a sudden at a major disadvantage because 1v1 it's fine. I think infect decks would be really on top of the format if it was a 1v1 format, but it's a 4-player format. So Saskia just really takes away that disadvantage of having to kill 3 players. So I have to go with Saskia in the end. But Rolesk was close.
Okay,
So
let's
I believe
go to
Evan won that with 2
Evan
votes.
won. So he gets a point for that.
Finn got 1 and Caleb got 1.
Yeah, but no points because you got the most. So Evan got 1
So
point.
next we have
So now,
creativity.
Or uniqueness.
Okay. I'll go first. For this one, I think I'm gonna go with Jack, because it seems like a deck that would be super fun to play, and not many Infect decks are having other people deal the damage.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. And a 5-color, it gives it some versatility of what cards to run. It seems like a very fun and creative deck.
Yeah, I'll go next. I have to agree. I totally agree. I mean, the commander's name is Corona. Like, I mean, that's not flavorful with with the current
Infect.
times, let's say, then I don't know what is. And yeah, so yeah, I also think it's cool. I obviously like forced combat decks. Like, it's always been kind of interesting, and it's good politics, and just a really unique and interesting way to build an Infect deck. So I think that's cool. So yeah.
Okay, I guess I'm next, and not surprisingly, I agree. I mean, it's just like so cool that we're playing Infect and you found a commander to make named Corona. And even though, like, off the top of your head, you wouldn't be like, this doesn't really have anything to do with all the little Infect creatures there are. But the way you found to give it Infect and use that Infect on multiple swings each time around the table, that's just cool. So I gotta give it to you too, Jack.
And finally me, I would vote for Volrath, because I think Volrath's just kind of cool. Like, the ability to copy a creature that is a 1/1 and make it a 7/5 all of a sudden, and now that's 7 Infect or possibly more if you already have pump counters on it. I think that's just a really good ability. Because like somebody goes up and you're playing Infect, and like, oh yeah, it's like a 1/1, like you can't kill me this turn, or like a 4/4 Infect, but then all of a sudden you make it like a 7/5 with like +1 counters, and all of a sudden you can win. It's just it's a out of the box win. I think it's just a really good, unique.
Yeah,
Yep.
so it seems like that Jack won that one, and it was unanimous. Everyone else
Essentially, yeah. Because we didn't say, but you
just
can't
to-
vote
yeah.
for yourself in these. Just so that, like,
Yeah.
And I think if you
yeah.
could, Jack would be voting for himself, because I think he clearly won that one.
Yeah, so Jack and Evan taking the points, unfortunately for me and Caleb. So yeah, Jack got 1 and Evan got 1. So now next up we got make or fake. So
mini segment.
yeah. So I mean, I guess I'll just start us off. Like, I was thinking about making the Volrath deck, and I personally, if I had the time, I definitely make this deck. It's fun. I'm not sure if I would make it completely Infect focused, but I at least splash some Infect just because I like the synergy. And yeah, so I think Volrath is a great commander. It's cool, and I just love the combos it has with other cards, and it works really well together. So I'd make. As far as other people's decks, I'm not sure I'd make any other ones. Maybe Rolesk probably seemed the most interesting to me of the other ones, but I'd make probably Volrath. So whoever goes next.
I'll go next. Sorry, Caleb, but I think I would make Saskia, and I might just because, like, I'm mostly a player that does, like, more combo based decks and not really just boom boom decks, you know what I mean?
You're not aggro.
So, not really. So I think this would just be a fun way to do it, and yeah, I just like my deck. As for other people's decks, I mean, the Proliferate seems cool, but I'm not sure if, like, I would really want to. I would probably of the others most want to make Volrath, but I'm not sure. Yeah, that's it for me.
You can go, Killed.
Okay, so for me, for my deck, I'd say it seems like super fun synergies and stuff, but in like a fun Infect deck. But there's so much better stuff you can do in Simic. Like I'd much rather want to make Vanifar,
Momir Vig.
Momir Vig,
You already have Mummer Rig.
and
Van
Vanifar.
Far.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Big player.
Yeah, it's just I feel like in Simic you can do a lot better things than proliferate. And like Rolesk itself, if I were to make Rolesk, I don't think I would base it around Infect. Probably make it a 1/1 counter theme. But if I were to make another deck, I think I would go with Saskia probably, because it just seems so fun to smack two people in the face at the same time.
Yeah, definitely makes for quick games. If
Yeah,
you want a quick game deck, then you make that. Like a
Jack.
non-combo deck that just like yeah.
Okay. So this is probably the hardest segment for me because I am kind of torn between two decks right now. So first of all, my deck, I like the deck and it's like really interesting, and I would definitely make it. But the only problem, it's kind of like not of my like style of play, I guess, to like make other people like force other people to attack.
Yeah, Jack's
So-
someone who's like doesn't like to make people mad in Commander.
Yeah.
He likes to be everybody's friend.
And then kill them with Nekisar.
Okay. Anyway.
So I would make the deck, but it's so yeah, I'm kind of torn because like I'd make it, but it's not really my style of play. So
What about
I guess,
other people's decks?
So I guess it's a fake. But for other people decks, I would make Evans just because of the power level of just hitting two people at once, and I've already said it before. It's just like a really powerful ability because instead of hitting one, you hit two, and if it's lethal, that's two players out in one turn, and it's a 1v1 game now with
And
on like I don't know, really quick, and like
Yeah.
Finn said, that can make a really quick game. So
you love quick games.
yeah, I do.
Okay. Yep. So I think that's about a wrap for this segment. And just as you all know, if you want to make these decks, we have the links, but don't just stick right to the links. These aren't the end all be all of this deck. You can always tinker with it, all four of them, and have
Yeah, we
fun your
advise
own way.
you. Yeah, we take it in your own direction.
Yeah.
Okay, so our
Yep.
moving
now
on
moving
to
on.
Cardsmith cards.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, this
Welcome
is
to
our
our next
custom
segment.
card segment, which is where we each made a custom card, and the voting is whichever isn't the best card, it's the best for Magic. So you
Yeah.
couldn't
Yeah, so
make yours too OP.
yeah, it's gonna be like the most balanced, and we think that Magic like it would benefit Magic to have this card. Either
And
it's
we
either
made
it's
these
good for the
cards-
format or like just a cool new concept that
We
you
used-
think Magic could use.
We used MTG Cardsmith to make our cards, which is a good site for making cards.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
It's a free site. Like it doesn't require you to make it like to spend any money or anything. So it's cool.
Okay,
Not a
so
sponsor.
Yeah, not a
so my
sponsor.
card is Flooding Dreams. It is 2 blue for a legendary enchantment. It has a new mechanic, Discover 2. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, target player draws 2 cards. And then it also has, if
Whoa.
an opponent has 7 or more cards in their hand, creatures you control gain Island Walk. So I think this card would be good for Magic because I feel like Magic is really missing the mechanic Island Walk, or just the walks like Plains Walk, Forest Walk, Island Walk, Swamp Walk, Mountain Walk. Those mechanics I think are super unused, and Magic should do them more. And so it's kind of bringing that back. And it's seems just like a fun card to play with the Discover mechanic. But the Discover mechanic part seems like it might be pushing borderline broken.
Yeah. That's what I thought when I. 2 cards is a lot.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, moving on to my card. My card is called Parasite Swarm, and it is 5 black, so 7 mana total for a sorcery, and it's destroy all creatures, then proliferate.
Say that 5 times fast.
For each creature destroyed this way, and then has a flavor text of infect them all. So anyways, I think this card will be good for Magic because I don't really know if there's a card like this, but I think it'd be good for Planeswalker decks, and there's not a ton of those. And I think with this card we could, if you put it in a
bring back Planeswalker decks. And like,
I mean, they're not like that underplayed, but in Commander they're not that popular.
Yeah, and so
like especially decks built around Planeswalkers. And like,
because this
Planeswalkers are one of the funnest parts of Magic, and Commander just doesn't have enough decks that are built around Planeswalkers.
Mm-hmm.
And not just Commander, all formats. Though I don't see that getting play in Modern or Standard.
Yeah.
Or any of the other formats.
But, because, like, if you're playing a Planeswalker deck in Commander, and you have, like, I don't know, like, a couple Planeswalkers on the board, and you play this card, doesn't affect your Planeswalkers, and then, let's say you destroy 10 creatures, that's, like, 10 loyalty on each of your Planeswalkers. That's, like, really good.
Also, Infect decks, which are underplayed a bit, too.
Also, it would kind of be overpowered with Infect.
Yeah.
Oathbreaker. That'd be super fun to play with in an Oathbreaker.
Oh, yeah, because it could be the signature spell, too.
Yeah, maybe like the signature spell of a Nicol Bolas deck.
Yeah, but that's so powerful.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Also, maybe pushing borderline broken.
Well, I don't know. The Elder spell is pretty good, too, in Oathbreaker, so.
Yeah, it is. Okay. Are you done, Jack?
Yeah, I'm done.
Okay, so I made a card that is a white commander, because white is in much need of a commander. It's called Hatu the Savior. It's 2 white for a 5/3 legendary creature angel. It has flying and lifelink, and it says, whenever you gain life, put a savior counter on Hatu the Savior for each 1 life gained, and then you can, the second line of text is, remove 10 savior counters from Hatu, deal 7 damage to any target, then draw a card. So
7. That's nice.
Yeah. So it's kind of like, it's a way to, so white already has a lot of life gain, right? But they don't really have anything to punish opponents for life gain very much. I mean, this card, when I made it up, it made me think a little bit of Aetherflux Reservoir, which is 4 mana for an artifact. Whenever you cast a spell, you gain 1 life for each spell you've cast this turn. Then pay 50 life. Aetherflux Reservoir deals 50 damage to target creature or player. Except that you don't have to pay life, you just pay counters. And it also gives you a little bit of card draw, which white is in much need of. So it's kind of just a commander with a little bit of a new twist and giving card draw to white, which it is in much need of.
Yeah, I feel like
Appreciated.
I think that's cool because the white certainly has a lot of ways to use that commander. At least mono white, and like
is it for for each life gained or whenever you gain
It's
life?
for each 1 life gain. So if you gain 5 life, so if you attack with Hatu, has life link, so you gain 5 life and get 5 savior counters on Hatu.
Yeah, that's a very good card.
Yeah,
Cards
and
like-
so yeah.
What's that card?
Well-
That's 1 white for gain 5 life.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like-
Yeah,
Makes it
because
usable.
what I was saying was, Aether Flux Reservoir is like the only way to use a big life total in.
Yeah.
I mean, you could obviously like in black you could use it stuff, but as far as mono white, like there's no like really like life payoffs. Like
And this isn't even a life payoff, which is the good thing. You don't even have to pay life.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
It
yeah.
just rewards you for gaining life. Seems like a very fun card.
hmm
I would want to make that deck if Magic had it.
Yeah.
Okay. Finn, you're up next.
And then my card is Tuna Blue for a sorcery. You draw X+2 cards. Oh, I forgot to read the name. Wow. It's called Rising Insight. So Tuna Blue sorcery, draw X+2 cards where X is the number of time counters on this card. But it's got a new mechanic called Bide. When you cast a spell, you may exile it before it resolves. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may put a time counter on this card, then you may cast it without paying its mana cost. So, what it's kind of designed to do, you could cast it normally as a divination, because X would be 0 because there's no time counters on it. So you just draw X+2 cards, which is 2. So you draw 2 cards. So that's kind of like mediocre. Casting it by itself. Or you could play it on turn 3. You'd have to waste your turn 3, but then you could have that little thing in the bank. It's like investing. You'd have that little thing in the bank, and I don't know, 3 or 4 turns later, it's got 3 or 4 counters on it. So you draw 6 cards. So when you really want to like do your big turn or advance yourself in the game where you need cards later on, you can have that little spell there. You can play for free on your upkeep, and you can be like, you can draw a bunch of cards and stuff. So I think that's cool. And
And during
I also
that
designed
later
this.
during that later on period where you play it, you don't have to spend any mana to play it. You invested mana earlier, so it doesn't take away from your big turn, which seems really good.
Yeah. And I also designed it to be in a cycle. So I could like have other cards. I even like officially designed them, but I have like kind of concept ideas for them, like maybe like Rising Growth, which searches for lands, like, or other stuff like
That
red
would be
one
the
might.
green one.
Yeah, the red one might do like damage, or white one might, I don't know, create soldiers, or maybe even
Gain life.
yeah. Well, gain life. I'd have to find a
Kinda
good way
boring.
to do white. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, that's my card.
Yep. Okay, so it's voting
So now
time.
we're gonna vote. So let's go. Me, Evan, Caleb, Jack.
Hey.
Go.
So I would have to vote for. There's a lot of interesting ones out there. I think Caleb, your one is a bit overpowered. Like, I think it's a good idea, but drawing 2 cards for every instant sorcery spell, it's like, I mean, instant sorcery decks already are like pretty strong, and so I feel like that's like a little bit broken. But the proliferate board wipe also seems like really powerful and broken. So I'd have to go with
Probably
Evans.
bans an Oathbreaker.
Yeah, I'd have to go with Evans, I think, because it's a good like mono white general. Like maybe not everything white's looking for, but it's got card draw and a way to use a lot of already existing white cards. So I think mono white, that's probably a great commander for them. Maybe not all the answers they were looking for, but enough. And I'd say that's like the most balanced here. So I'd give that to Evan.
Okay. I'm next. Okay, so let's see. I kind of agree with Finn about Jack and Caleb's cards. They both seem really good. And then I also just really like Finn's new mechanic. So I'm going to go with his card because that new mechanic just seems really, like, fun and interesting. And it's kind of like it would leave for some interesting decisions on what you wanted to do for your third turn. Like, do you want to save it for later? Like, if you didn't really have anything going and we're just trying to get your commander, or like, do you just want to spend it now as an okay card? So that just seems really interesting. Plus, the appeal of a whole set of those seems really cool. So
Yeah, I would
gotta
love
go
to
with Finn.
see a set of those.
Yeah, I can make them for future episodes if you want. So.
Okay, then
Jack.
Jack's up next. Yeah.
Well, I decided Evan because I think Evan's card is just really balanced. It's like having stuff that that White already has and creating it into something that they don't have. It's just that I think it's powerful, but not too overpowered. And no, my card is probably too overpowered.
Yeah.
And I like Finn's card, but it's just I play a lot of blue, but I just don't play a lot of like. It's just not a very interesting card to me,
Okay.
even with the new mechanic. So that's why I
Yeah,
like
it's just drawing cards.
Yeah,
in a
the
blue
new
spell,
mechanic is interesting, but like what this card itself does is, I think you could have done better with that.
So.
Okay, for me, Jax is seeming like Finn's. I would love to see a full set. Jax, yours kind of seems like it would restore Planeswalker decks in Commander maybe, and that would be fun to see. But just thinking at it this way, like how fun it would be to play with a Hatu the Savior Commander deck, I have to go with Evan as well, because it seems like just such a fun deck to play with.
Okay.
So
I believe.
seems like Evan won that one too.
Yeah, I think Evan won that one. So he gets another point. He's only got 2 points for the day. That's crazy. So
Jack has
our
one.
next segment.
Pack opening.
Pack opening. Yes, we gotta crack some packs, boys.
We each chose a
Okay.
set. As
I'll
Finn
go
said
first.
earlier, I have Ravnica Allegiance, Jack has Guilds of Ravnica, Finn has War of the Spark, and Evan has Throne of Eldraine.
So
So
let's just dive right
highest
into
value
it.
gets the point.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
I'll
let's
go
dive right
first.
into it.
No, I was
Can
gonna
I go first?
Sure.
Okay. So, Fairy Duelist. We're not going to be reading all the commons because that might get a bit boring. Like, we'll
Yeah,
only
so just
read the
read like the
notable
uncommons.
cards.
Yeah.
Gorklan Reckoner. Impassioned Orator. Plague White. Axebane Beast. Azorius Locket.
And that's what I like
Syndicate
it.
Messenger. Clear the Mind. Rafter Demon. Ooh, Skewer the Critics. Very good card. So 2 in a red for a sorcery. It has Spectacle 1. You may cast this spell for its Spectacle cost rather than its mana cost. If an opponent has lost life this turn, Skewer the Critics deals 3 damage to any target. So it's basically a lightning bolt if one of your opponent has lost life this turn. Okay. Eight Wing Spy. Rhythm of the Wild. I think Evan had that one in his Saskia deck. Actually.
Yeah, we already read it.
Yep. That's a very good card, though. Resolute Watchdog. Dang it. And my rare is Sphinx of Foresight. 2 blue
I'll
for
check prices.
a 4/4 creature Sphinx. You may reveal this card from your opening hand. if you do scry 3 at the beginning of your first upkeep, it has flying, and at the beginning of your upkeep, scry 1. Obviously, not very good.
Oh yeah, the price on that, the TCG player, I think it's market price. Yeah, not a sponsor. It's 49 cents. So I mean, not the best thing you could get. So yeah, it's okay.
Disgusting.
I
Okay.
will go. So I open, and the first card is Wall of Mist. Then we have Wojek Bodyguard. Then Take Heart. Then Crawl Forgers. Burglar Rat. Artful Takedown. Sumala Woodchaper. Hypothesizzle. Prey Upon. Gravitic Punch. And then entering uncommons, we have Night Veil Sprite. It's 1 blue for flying, 1/2. Whenever Night Veil Sprite attacks, surveil 1. Good.
Yep.
And then we have Flower and Flourish. Flower for a green or a white. Search your library for a basic forest or plains card, reveal it, and put it into your hand, and shuffle your library. And then Flourish. 4 white green creatures you control get +2/+2 until end of turn. And then our third uncommon is Silent Dart. It's 1 mana for an artifact. 4 mana. 4 colorless. Tap it. Sacrifice Silent Dart. It deals 3 damage to target creature. That's not the best of cards. And then our rare is Charnel Troll. It's 1 black-green for a creature troll, 4/4. At the beginning of your upkeep, exile a creature card from your graveyard. If you do, put a +1/+1 counter on Charnel Troll. Otherwise, sacrifice it. And then you play a black and a green. Discard a creature card. Put a +1/+1 counter on Charnel Troll.
That seems like an okay card, but I doubt it's worth anything. Then what's the market price?
Checking it right now. It's no loading. 6 cents. Wow, that's a keeper.
Oof, Jack. Hey,
Okay,
I
Evan, you want to
still
go
have
next
a
or me?
chance.
Yeah.
I might win with Sphinx of Foresight.
Yeah, okay. Let's see. Okay, let's see. Got my pack. So, my first card is Embrith Paladin. And then we have Prized Griffin, Wishful Merfolk, Unstable Appetite, Forever Young, Hengewalker, Searing Barrage, Beloved Princess, Charmed Sleep, Roving Keep. Now on to my uncommons. We have Resolute Rider. We have Akron of Abolition. I don't know.
Wait, is it Arkin or? I think it's Arkin.
Arkin, okay. Of Absolution, I think. I don't know. It's like a deer with wings.
I have no idea what that is.
Lock Dragon, and yes, I got Torbran, Thane of the Red Fell as my rare.
I'm not an expert at prices, but I have a feeling that's worth more than Sphinx of the Foresight.
Yeah, so it's a legendary creature, Dwarf Noble. It costs 1 red, and it's a 2/4. And it says, if a red source you control would deal damage to an opponent or a permanent an opponent controls, it deals that much damage +2 instead. A dwarf's grudge runs deeper than the mountain's roots, is what the text is. So, I don't know, but I think that's worth something.
It's 89 cents.
As my land.
It's 89 cents.
I'm pretty happy with that, though.
Yeah, me too.
What is he in the story? He's the,
I don't know. I didn't pay attention.
Captain of Arvindale? Is it Arvindale?
I don't remember. I think
Whatever.
Arvindale's white.
I don't
Anyway,
really pay attention
Ben,
to
what's
this.
the price on that?
89 cents.
89 cents?
Okay. And my pack.
Evan has pulled into the lead.
Dang it.
So
James
I
Forrest
obviously
has
I got
everything.
War of the Spark. So Ashiok Shulker, Honor the God Pharaoh, Rising Populace, Courage in Crisis, which is a proliferate card. I forgot that proliferate was a mechanic in War of the Spark. So this would actually be decent in an Infect deck. Soren's Thirst, Lazotep Reaver, Defiant Strike, Erratic Visionary, Guild Globe, Chandra's Pyrohelix, and onto the uncommons we got Augur of Bolus, Dovin's Veto, which is a pretty cool one. It's a green, not green, a white and a blue. For an instant, the spell can't be countered, and you can counter target non-creature spell. So it's like an upgraded negate in 2 colors. And then
I'd
my
say negate's
Planeswalker.
still better.
Yeah, because for a mono blue deck probably. And my Planeswalker, because obviously there's a Planeswalker in every set of War. There's a Saheeli
pack.
Sublime Artificer. Oh yeah, sorry, no, I said set. It's 1 and a hybrid blue-red, so 3 mana total for a legendary Planeswalker Saheeli. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, you get a 1/1 colorless servo artifact creature token, and you can -2 to target artifact you control becomes a copy of another target artifact you control until the end of turn. Oh no, target artifact you control becomes a copy of another target artifact or creature you control until the end of turn, except it's an artifact in addition to its other types. And then the rare is Command the Dread Horde. It's a sorcery, 4 black. Choose any number of target creature and/or planeswalker cards in graveyards. Command the Dread Horde deals damage to you equal to the total converted mana cost of those cards. Put them onto the battlefield under your control. So that's cool. You can like pay life to get a bunch of stuff back. And you can also grab planeswalkers, which is interesting. So I'm going to check the prices on that.
There's some Pioneer decks around that, right?
I'm not sure.
I'm pretty sure there are.
I know I have it in my Taste deck. It's loading. Yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean, yeah, and you can also get planeswalkers. And it's any graveyard. Hold on, this is... internet is not working right now.
It doesn't always happen that way, though. Right when
Okay.
you're trying to do something, the internet fails.
Yeah, I know. Command the Dread Horde. Okay. Here we go. It's working now. 36 cents.
We got
so
what do you
I
got?
came in third.
Hey, I came in
36
second
cents.
with Sphinx of the Foresight, but
And what do you
And
know?
Evan got
A
another one. Oh my
card
god.
puts me in last place.
so
Oh gosh.
Evan's up 3-1-0.
Jack
Well-
is the one with 1.
That brings us to the end of the last segment, but not the end of the podcast. There's one more thing we need to do, and that is decide the theme for our next podcast. So
Okay.
I have made a wheel today that has a bunch of different themes like mill, self-mill, lands, planeswalker, extra combat, +1/+1 counters, all that good stuff, and we're going to give it a spin and see what next week's theme will be.
Okay, let's do it.
It's spinning. And we will be making mill self-mill. So
Wait, what?
next week's theme will be mill self-mill.
Nice.
Cool. Yes, I can't wait to build a deck around that.
Or well,
Um,
not next week's next episode.
Yeah. That sounds cool. So, just to wrap up the show, let's just review our winners. So, Evan won the power level vote for the decks, and Jack won the uniqueness. So, they both got a point for that. And then Evan also won the custom card with his white commander, so he got a point for that. And Evan also won the best value with Torbrand.
Yes.
So he also got a point for that. So Evan coming away with 3 points, Jack with 1, and Caleb and I are both sadly at 0.
So one more thing before we wrap up. If the audio is scratchy, that's because we're recording this over a Zoom meeting.
Yeah,
Because
because obviously social distancing, good
social
practice.
distancing. Unfortunate circumstances, but we're making it work.
Yep.
Stay healthy and see you next episode.
Yeah, thank you all for listening. Yeah, definitely stay healthy.
Keep magic
Thanks
on
to the
your
doctors.
mind. See ya.